Good morning. Today's Lather Games theme is exclusives from the wet shaving subreddit. And so I have the soap sample I got a little while back. Southern Witchcrafts, Valley of Ashes. It's part of a Great Gatsby themed line, and the West Egg was released first by another soap maker. Valley of Ashes is right in the middle, and then East Egg is the one, I think it's current now, and it looks really neat. The brush we're going to use today is That Darn Rob Fanchurian. It's his version of a Manchurian. I like it a lot. It is one of the few badgers that I have that does change if I soak it for long before the shave, and I did that. The tips are a lot softer. The tips are just different. And I first discovered that when I was at the end of my shave, and it felt like a softer brush. And I thought, wait, okay. Well, so then I started soaking it longer before the shave, like half an hour, and I got those same soft tips at the beginning of the shave then. So there we go. The blade we're going to use today is a 7 o'clock black from Gillette. It's a super platinum. It's got about 6 or 7 shaves on it right now. And I put it inside of today's razor, the Chris Bradley from Karve, a Canadian company. This is the open comb, and this is the A head, which is pretty mild, and I just love the way it feels and the results I get. I believe we've covered it all, so let's load up. It's really hard to load with a brush in these samples, so don't do that. Instead, take either your thumbnail for a 1/4 teaspoon measure and just hook some out. And that's a 1/4 teaspoon. It's nice because the 1/4 teaspoon can help you not to get too much out, and that will help you to get the most out of your samples. And this is a very creamy soap base. And so it's easy to spread around, but you have to make sure you don't want any floaters around, any little chunks that the brush is able to push around instead of scrub on, because then they don't get as integrated into the lather as easily. So I'm spreading that at the bottom of my bowl. Now, if you are a person who likes to use a sample all the way through when you get one, get another bowl, a smaller one maybe, and that could be your loading bowl, just like a tub of soap. Maybe use an old tub of soap, but it's best not to use your lather bowl to put the entire sample in if it has more than 1 shave's in it, shave's worth of soap, because then there's a point in making the lather. At the beginning, that's nice because you're able to pull soap up into the brush. But then as you keep adding water and your lather forms, there's this point where you need to stop adding soap. And if you have a couple of shaves worth of soap in the bowl, then you're continuing to add soap in during the whole process when you're mixing. And you don't want that all the time. You want it up until a certain point, and then you want to just be able to add water to let the soap and water ratio get right. That's why I recommend 2 different containers. Unless, that's if you're a bowl latherer like me. If you're a face latherer and you just want to use a bowl to kind of mix it up a little bit and get it to where you're ready to go to your face, then that's a different story. All right, splash my face. There we go. Now, my only critique with this soap, the base is wonderful. My only critique with the soap was that the burning rubber smell, it's got a great list of notes. The burning rubber smell is really the one that kind of takes it over for me, and I don't smell too much else. As usual, shake most of the water out. And there we go. So that burning rubber smell just kind of takes over everything, and it's interesting, but probably not enough for me to buy a whole tub. Now, if the other notes were more predominant, I might get it, because there are some interesting items in the list. Diesel fuel. What else was in there? Darn it. Now I can kind of pick out a little bit of the leather and just smoke in general. So I can kind of pick out three, along with the burning rubber. So it's thick enough now to definitely stand up on the walls of the shave bowl. Some soaps, you want to add water until the soap kind of comes down. Doesn't do that anymore. Lather looks great already. That is slick. Little bit of viscosity. I can just barely feel the ridges in my fingerprints. Want to add just a little bit more water. That'll probably be good. Yeah, it's a nice slick soap. Let's go ahead and add the last to make it 2 teaspoons of water. Okay, let's see how it looks. We've got lots of it. Blobs come off, hold their shape. Some soaps, this is too dry and I need to keep adding water. But the way this one feels in my hands, I'm more inclined to think I should stop. Then we can kind of group it all together in one end of the bowl and kind of do a pull up. Watch the elasticity there. Those are some of the ways to look at and evaluate the viscosity. Each soap is Each soap base is kind of different, and your preferences may be different. Yeah, let's keep this one creamy. I think this brush likes it if it's creamier. And I can always just add a little bit of water. All right, so splash face water. This brush does have a good bit of backbone, and so the up and down movements kind of push my, cheeks around a little bit. It's not like a nice flowy soft silver tip that the brush moves. There's just a lot of density due to the sheer number of bristles that we've got going on. I kind of prefer the feel to the other silver tips. The silver tips that have less backbone and a few less bristles. They get the job done, but kind of like a cloud. All right. This lather feels creamier than I usually have it, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. Gillette 7 o'clock black. Just used a handful of times. It's going well so far. You can hear it cutting. I can feel it's not smooth. A little bit more than a day's growth today. A few hours more than 24 hours. But even this A is just not having a problem screaming through that growth at all. Very nice. And rinse. Kind of hope this brush opens up and splays more, but don't really think it will. I might just have to do a big dense brush competition versus the soft silver tips like I have, like a Kent and a Whip Dog and a Golden Nib, versus this Fanchurian, and I have a Elite Manchurian, Declarations. Just see if I'm keeping the brushes like this, the dense two bands, like Declaration and this one. I'm keeping around because if my tastes change, these brushes are harder to come by. But who knows? I might just change my mind and just stick with the big old poofy guys. Now, this is a very smooth pass because that first pass really took care of lots of business. Very nice. I'm having nice creamy rinses on this because the mix was so thick. Definitely thicker than average for me, but it's working out. It's the danger you have is if it's too dry, too thick, it doesn't bond as well with your skin to be able to protect it. This looks like it's working all right. And despite being very poignant and in your face types of notes that are in this soap, the strength is not so much that the strength is in your face. And so you're able to actually enjoy that smell without being overwhelmed by it, which is nice. Rinse. And because this mix is thick, I am mitigating that a little bit by leaving a little bit of water on my face. Plenty of lather available for this shave. Now here I am, the third pass. You don't need to scrub like I did. I'm just kind of evaluating the brush. On the second and third passes, you really just need to do the painting strokes because the scrubbing is kind of for cleaning, and you've already done that on the first pass. So you definitely can only do the painting strokes on the second and third passes if you want. I'm kind of working the brush, checking it out, and so that's why I'm doing some scrubbing on those passes. I'm really wondering if I can just sell some of my big dense knots because, you know, I just prefer the feel of the big clouds. Because that's what it's been. That's what it's been all about for me. I've gathered up a bunch of gear, most of it used, when it was at good prices on sale and stuff. And a lot of it to evaluate, knowing that I wouldn't end up with this much gear in my inventory. I mean, you only need so much stuff to shave with. All right. Very comfortable shave. Enjoyable. There are blades that maybe shave a little better for me for that first pass, you know, cut a little cleaner, that sort of thing, but there was no irritation or anything like that. It was an enjoyable feel, so it's a good blade match for me with this razor. All right, I got excellent results in today's shave. This is an area that's my trouble spot, and the hair, I don't know if the hairs lay down close to the skin, but it also is, I get nicks if I go against the grain and irritation, and so I can't do that. So I have to do everything but that, including with the grain, and then some different cross grain type maneuvers, and then here would be a cross grain as well, to try to get those hairs. And I've learned a technique of taking a cross grain stroke from here moving up. It's a little dangerous because there's this circle of hair around here that switches direction, and if I hit that too hard or with a wrong with a blade and razor that's not set right, that's not good for that area, it will cause me a little bit of irritation. But this was an excellent head and razor blade to do that. And so I got a nice cut. If I can execute that directional stroke from here up, then I always get a nice close cut right there. How much lather do I have left? I'm going to say, I bet I could make 2 to 3 passes out of this. So it's a nice efficient soap base that only needs, probably needs 2/3 of that measuring spoon, of that 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon, which is nice and more economical than a lot of other soaps out there. So that's pretty good. How much water did I use up? The full 2 teaspoons. So here's this brush after dropping it on the towel. It is expanding just a little bit, but as you can see, there's just so much density there that it kind of crowds you a little bit. And if it was half as dense, I would probably love it, because I believe there would be the backbone is enough to where it would move out of the way. But I think the current trend within the last maybe few years is with this kind of brush that is just kind of a wall of badger. And I guess maybe less guys work in this splay than I do. Or maybe they do, they just don't speak up, you know, I don't know. So, I don't know. And this one has the issue of, it's got this nice looking handle. I mean, the color is just excellent. But this ridge right here, it needs to come up a little higher because my fingers are big. And if you can see, I've got a little bit of the pad of my fingers and thumb that goes over that ridge. And so that means that that's a ridge poking into the pad instead of it resting up against a larger surface. And so it's not as comfortable as some other brushes out there. I don't know, maybe I'll pass this one on. It's definitely a good knot for some people. So I'm really glad I went in for the open combs. I've already got the set of the closed combs, and they are wonderful. I may even like the open combs better. They feel a little different. They feel like a less surface is on your face. They feel kind of leaner, but almost in a good way. And there's no real aggression increase. It's only just a notch. Like if you're using the A open comb, it performs kind of like the B closed comb. So if you get, like me, if you get some of the lower range open combs, you don't classify them as aggressive. They're just nice and efficient. They feel good, and they're smooth and solid and consistent because this razor head just has a bottom and top support to the blade right up until the very edge. And that gives you a nice, consistent, controlled, predictable shave. Also, a quick note, the real practice of witchcraft and things like that is not within my personal belief system in terms of being an acceptable thing. And I checked with the makers, and they don't get into that. That's just kind of a theme, a decor, so just a spiritual curiosity that they have just along. They just had to pick something to push their business towards instead of just not having a theme. They thought it was interesting. They had kind of curiosities into that type of pretend and things like that. So long story, try to make it short. They just confirmed that there wasn't any kind of reality in that with their company, and so I don't mind having their products on and showing them off to you, because I've had several dealings with the guy who is part of it, Steven, and he's an awesome guy, and they make really good products, quality soaps. Something I especially like about their line of soaps is their interesting scents and their strength, the strength of the scents. A lot of guys keep it kind of easy, even keeled and low, so as not to offend people's skin sensitivities. But then people like me don't get to enjoy the soap as much. and so they don't do that at Southern Witchcrafts. They nice strong scents, and they're just, like I said, just really interesting, kind of like this one. And so many good ones. Alchemist, Arcane Abyss, Necromantic. You know, see, they've got this theme going throughout their whole line. Even their original base was terrific, and their new base that they've come out with is just even better. So just want to take a minute there. If it was a practicing, company affiliated with Witchcraft, I would not be evaluating or using their products. All right, some people think that's weird of me and elitist maybe or whatever, but we all have to go with our personal beliefs in the things that we do. So this time with this brush, I did find myself yearning for the softer silver tips, the less dense ones like these two guys. This is a Virginia Ching 20 millimeter maybe. But the thing is, he's too soft. He's almost too, you can't tell now because he's dry, but he's almost too flobby. Whereas this guy is about perfect. This is I think this is the Golden Nib premium grade. And he is just a tremendous cloud soft, but enough backbone to still stir up a lather and not just feel floppy on your face, in my opinion. A fan of those more rigid knots with lots of backbone may consider this one floppy, but I don't. So I think I found myself missing these types of brushes. Maybe that's a clue as to pass that darn Rob brush on to somebody else. I think I've given it, I have to look and make sure I've given it enough tries. It's important in shaving to evaluate something for a reasonable amount, because you may get used to it, you may get used to using it, your skills may improve. Maybe if your lather's poor, then you're not going to have that brush feel like it really should, those kind of things. But I believe I've given it enough chances. All right. Let us pick a post shave. On the dry down now, that burning rubber scent has left. I don't really get a whole lot of that. I'm starting to actually get more of the woody type scent, something I would have enjoyed better during the shave if it was a higher concentration. That woodiness instantly made me think of a pretty basic, simple post shave. From Clubman, from Pinaud and Whiskey Woods, and it doesn't last very long on you. It's a little woody, it's a little whiskey, not a lot, and it dissipates pretty quickly. But it's a scent that I just kind of enjoy for a little while, and then it's gone. It's simple, it's inexpensive. This is a good Amazon purchase if you have an Amazon gift card. I like it, It is almost all stuff that's not really good for your skin, meaning it's just alcohol and fragrance. So it doesn't have oils and cool extracts to help with, witch hazel and aloe vera and things like that to help with your skin and treat your skin afterwards. So it's not for those with sensitive skin, unless maybe you put a balm on afterwards or something like that. So no irritation, very little redness, a nice close shave, really happy with that. So these mild razors with nice blades in them just really do well with me. And although the A is a mild one, but being open comb, that kind of bumps it up into maybe the average category. So maybe mid. Here's the thing though, with this, like that clamping of the edge of the blade so close to the edge, it can be in the mid-range in terms of aggression, but it feels like a razor that's a couple of notches down. It feels like a mild razor. That's the deal, and that's one of the reasons I like the Karve Christopher Bradley so much. So the Soap Valley of Ashes was the wet shaving exclusive, and in a way, I learned only of the Karve Christopher Bradley razor from wet shaving as well. It was announced on there. It is publicly available, and it was at the time, but I wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't for that sub. So I'm a happy camper all the way around. A great shave. Turns out I like these 7 o'clock blacks pretty well. It's a notch down from my favorite blade because some of them I would use this same razor and it would just fly through the hairs. I almost wouldn't even feel the edge, wouldn't even feel the cutting. So there are blades that are a little bit better for me, but this is a very acceptable, very good blade in its own right, even so. So there we go. I hope there was something here for you. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Have a good day.